Alrighty, people, and we have got some crypto news for you. First of all, the evil central banks are mapping Bitcoin. That's right. They want more information, more data, so they can track your transactions. Sounds like an evil and sinister purpose, but you know central banks are definitely wanting to do that. So what's happening is they're developing a global Bitcoin mapping system. This is from Reuters, but other institutions and other places have reported on this as well. So it's a lab test right now, and it's designed a protocol Bitcoin monitoring system aimed at giving authorities a clearer picture on how, when, and where cryptocurrency is used. So if they know how, when, and where it's used, they can track who's using it, and then you won't be able to get away with money laundering or tax evasion ever again. So the BIS project, it's called Atlas. It began at the Dutch Central Bank about 5 years ago, but it's finally kind of risen to prominence in the last 18 months. They have a proof of concept now, and it sucks data. It gets data from both publicly available on-chain crypto ledgers, probably like Ledger, as well as harder to source off-chain data reported only by some exchanges and users. So it's not a complete picture, but they got a lot of data to grind through, and they can tell what Bitcoins are being traded into fiat and what other people and what people are actually doing with those Bitcoins, and they can track all sorts of crypto activity. So an initial analysis of data collected by the platform indicates that cross-border flows are substantial in economic terms and unevenly distributed across geographical regions. Regulators have become increasingly concerned that the decentralized nature of cryptocurrencies makes them a risk. So obviously, if they're able to track everything, it's much less of a risk for them. And money launderers and tax evasion people are going to be very, very upset because it makes it much harder for them to actually get away with stuff. So like they also show information like how many Bitcoin are being converted to US dollars and in what parts of the world that are doing that. So it makes it really easy to see, especially the big players. Now, it can't track everyone that's creating a wallet because that's pretty much impossible, but they can track a significant part of cross-border transfers. And in some countries that are unstable, the Bitcoin cross-border transfers can actually represent most of the cross-border transfers. So central banks need to gain first-hand knowledge of crypto and DeFi and the risks and opportunities they present to the financial system. So this is trying to basically track DeFi, but the thing is DeFi doesn't really operate on Bitcoin. A lot of it operates on Ethereum, but I'm sure they're working on an evil project there as well. So they are determined to make Bitcoin users their little bitches because they can actually track all of them. And if they do, I suppose it's no longer anonymous and maybe Bitcoin will lose a bit of its luster. I don't think that's going to make Bitcoin really lose its value, but they are intent on tracking every single move of every single Bitcoin. And it looks like they're getting one step closer. So there are XRP influencer accounts being suspended on Twitter left and right now. If you didn't know, digital asset buyer, digital asset investor got suspended, as well as like a couple of like XRP law things. I'm not really sure why this is true. My guess is it has something to do with Twitter's new advertising policy. Whereas like if you're posting content, if you're really posting content that has videos from any sponsor, you have to get Twitter's approval before you post it. Because if you don't get Twitter's approval before you post it, they can actually strike you down. A lot of people are thinking that that's why he got struck down. Maybe Elon obviously just got tired of the incessant XRP shilling, but also it could also just be a mistake, which is also very probable. It's either probably a mistake or the advertiser policy, because I doubt it's because of incessant XRP shilling, because there's so many people that do that and they really haven't got deleted yet. So I don't think Twitter's actually going to ban you for incessant shilling or any kind of like hyping things up, as long as you're transparent about like what sponsors you actually have. I do think like it's most likely the advertiser policy, because obviously Twitter wants any share of advertiser revenue you actually get. But it also could be the fact that they just did like a mistaken like mass pruning of accounts, and a couple of XRP accounts got in there. Although crypto accounts are seemingly more and more likely to get in these purges. So obviously I'm not a big fan of that, being a crypto influencer myself. I'm not going to be shedding too much of a tear over this, but I would like Twitter to actually revoke this particular ban. Cardano has a Hydra update. And obviously this comes as many critics actually say Cardano's Hydra cannot do the 1000 TPS per head that they claim to do. Now, this is actually very hard to prove in the real world because Cardano doesn't have 1000 TPS. I mean, they could possibly process 1000 TPS at maximum, but they don't really reach that on their public blockchain because, getting 1000 TPS requires a whole lot of transactions, and there are just not that many transactions on Cardano. Almost no chain can sustain in real life 1000 TPS. Not that they couldn't handle it at capacity, but like right now, there's just not that much capacity in terms of like how many people are actually using the chain. So I think Charles displayed it on some kind of test server or something, because I highly doubt he could actually do it in the real world scenario. And it showed on the test that Cardano Hydra can indeed handle about 1000 TPS, which is more TPS than you're going to need for quite a while. So theoretically, Hydra can handle that amount of transactions. I'm sure the criticism will continue to come from Cardano haters and such, but it can actually do that on a technical basis at least. It has to be tested in the real world when you get up to 1000 TPS, and that might take a long time. But I think Cardano is very, very well primed for the future. So that's the Cardano Hydra update. Of course, Kraken is going to expand internationally, and they are buying a Dutch exchange. Now, this comes as no surprise, as many crypto businesses and many crypto exchanges are going to expand internationally. Because in the US, your business opportunities are very limited because of Gary Gensler and the SEC. And obviously, if you limit the business opportunities, you're also going to limit the potential for business profit. And that obviously does not bode well for the competitive environment, and it really can't do all that well if you're competing with something like Binance. Because Binance can operate internationally and has a lot bigger margin than other crypto companies like Coinbase and Kraken, especially those that are located in the United States, because they're so restricted in what they can do. I mean, like derivatives, secondary market, like leverage, Binance can take all of that in their international portfolio, and Coinbase and Kraken really can't right now if they don't expand. I think that's one of the reasons that the feds are so eager to get Binance, because their American business is supposed to be a wholly owned subsidiary or by someone else, not Binance, but it looks like it has tie-ins with Binance. And as long as it has tie-ins with Binance itself, it's going to have a substantial financial advantage over any other American company, because they can use the profits from their international company to support their American company. And that means they can offer much, much lower fees on trades in their American business. And obviously, America wants to help its own companies. And because it wants to actually help its own companies, it wants to get rid of Binance so they can be competitive. Rather than just opening up and allowing American companies to do what the foreign companies do, they want to kick the foreign companies out, even if they are abiding by the US company rules. Which I'm not saying Binance is perfectly abiding by the rules, because I'm sure they're not. But I don't know if they're violating more than any other company. And that's why they want to get rid of Binance.us, because it's just way too competitive for Coinbase and Kraken to actually compete against. So, there's a lot of competing interest here. I do think the American approach is the wrong one, obviously. And American companies are going to be looking to expand overseas for more flexibility. And that brings us to our last point, which is Binance seems to be set to reopen in the UK. Now, this is only a rumor that I've actually heard. It seems like it might be in the middle of October. I know they canceled their UK registration a while ago, but it wouldn't really surprise me. You know why? Because Binance got kicked out of Belgium, and they actually came back into Belgium. I think the starting to all this is Binance actually getting out of Russia. I think that was one of the main purposes of everyone going against Binance, is to get them out of serving Russia customers, because they really want the sanctions on Russia to close in and around Russia. Now, since Binance kicked Russia like a bad habit, they might be loosening up on Binance. Of course, they will still have to abide by UK regulations if they do, but that's a big boon for UK investors, because obviously Binance has a lot of coins that maybe other exchanges don't, and they're cheaper to operate. So that, well, they're not cheaper to operate, and they're also cheaper in terms of fees when it comes to the United Kingdom. So, users might actually be getting a better experience and also have more options in terms of like what coins they can actually buy. So very good news for the UK, and I hope this applies to the US sooner or later, because I would actually like to have Binance back. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.